Please tell us more about what Oky is to those of us who are the uninitiated. What is Oky and what does it do?
So Oky is a digital solution, and the cool thing is Oky is the first period tracker app that has been designed by girls for girls.
Period.
Menstrual hygiene is a basic human right.
There's no story without numbers.
Youth economic empowerment is one of the foundations of sustainable change.
Let's talk.
Let's talk. Let's talk.
One-to-one cafe.
Hello and welcome to another episode with One-to-One Cafe. And we have a special guest with us. Dada mzuri sana kutoka Tanzania. So today she's going to be critiquing my Kiswahili, but it's okay. Please help me welcome Jane.
Hi!
Our episode is special today because we're also commemorating World Menstrual Health Day. The theme for this year is Together for a Period-Friendly World. About half of the world experiences periods, right? So we want to be able to just make it more friendly, especially for those of us who have a harder time going through their periods. And before we go any further, I'd like to welcome Jane. Please tell us who you are, where you're from, where you work, so that we can begin this session.
So hi, I'm Jane. I'm a digital impact and innovation officer working with UNICEF. I'm from Tanzania, and I'm working with a team in UNICEF that is looking at scaling this amazing period product across the world. And Africa, being part of the world, is one of the continents that I focus on.
This is fantastic. And the product that Jane is talking about is Oky, OKY. And this app has really grown from the way it was, right? How many African countries have implemented Oky as of date?
Oh my goodness. So in Africa, the countries that have massive, amazing Oky communities, Kenya,
Yeah.
Tanzania, Burundi, South Africa, Cote d'Ivoire is coming online, so are Madagascar and Mozambique. Not Mozambique, sorry, that's not correct.
Not correct.
No.
Zambia.
Yes.
It is okay. Because there are quite many we can confuse. But we're so excited that all these countries that you've mentioned are able to take the Oky concept, learn from each other because we do a lot of cross-learning and just try to implement, make Oky work for them. And please tell us more about what Oky is to those of us who are the uninitiated. What is Oky and what does it do?
So Oky is a digital solution that provides accurate, friendly, informative, fun period information, as well as information around sexual reproductive health and the like for adolescent girls and young people. It is a tool that was initially launched in Indonesia and over the years has been contextualized, deployed all over the world. It is a tool that brings together games, a period tracking feature, an encyclopedia with all the tips, tricks, and information that any girl would want to know about menstruation. And the cool thing is Oky is the first period tracker app that has been designed by girls for girls.
Period. Very important because somebody would be like, well, it's a period tracker. There are so many period trackers on the market, which is true. But I think for us, especially in Kenya, the thing that stood out more is that it is free to use in that there's no features that are hidden behind a paywall because we do know that there's a lot of access issues. Not everybody has a debit card or a credit card to put it in. Even if they had the money, they would rather spend the money on something else. So accessibility is very important for this tool. And I think that's why it's worked so well for us, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty about Oky. It's really been designed by adolescent girls, so it's built on their digital realities. So it has offline functionality. It's a low-sized application, so even if you don't have access to the internet, you can download it via Bluetooth and the like. it's in so many languages: English, Swahili, French, Kirundi. I mean, we can go on. And because countries take Oky on board and make it for themselves, it has a look and feel of the specific country that app is currently available in. And so girls really see it as them talking to their own friend.
Which is very important. And you mentioned about like the features that it's fun, it's friendly. When Oky was conceived, what gap was it trying to fill at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think we heard a lot from a lot of girls that they have so many questions around periods and menstruation, and they want to be able to ask questions about that. They want information on it. But if you look around at the available apps at that point, a lot of them are targeted to an older audience and don't bring in that fun interactive aspect of sharing information. So Oky was brought in to kind of cover that gap. And bring on board a product that girls and young women can look at and turn to for their questions, their queries, to better understand their bodies and have somewhere that they can go for information that they can trust.
And that's so important because another thing to mention is that compared to other products that are out there, it's more adolescent focused because that's the time when you're actually starting our periods. We're very curious. Some people don't even have that information. This is something that just comes, and depending on where you are, you're given a quick rudimentary lesson on probably sanitary products or even lack thereof, and then you have to figure yourself out. So I think it's a really important thing that we have here, and it's so great to be part of the team that are implementing it in Kenya for this purpose. So I think the other thing, and you've mentioned quite a number of countries, and it's also implemented in Asia, right? So what are some of the key lessons that that we've learned throughout that we're just constantly reiterating?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do any solution, any product for young people, you have to do it with young people.
Yes.
They bring a tone of voice, a unique perspective, different ideas. Also, just one of the things about Oky, we have mentioned that it's a period tracking app, but that's just the start of it. It's a whole ecosystem. We do understand that a lot of girls also don't have access to mobile phones. So Oky is available on radio, on SMS, on desktops, on computers, in so many different channels, so that girls, no matter where they are, they have an opportunity to engage with the content in a voice that is relevant to them through a medium that they can access.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest issues, because I think a lot of the times you just think, okay, I'm going to bring an app, it's going to answer everything. But usually that's just the start. And I think one of the biggest lessons are listen to your audience, listen to girls, listen to young people, and then speak to them in places where they already are.
Yeah. That's really, and you mentioned like radio, you've mentioned SMS. I think low tech solutions are so important. The world is increasingly becoming digital and everybody is thinking of high tech solutions and everything. But the reality of the situation is not everybody has a smartphone. Not everybody even has a phone. It may seem ubiquitous to some of us. You can't think of not having a phone, especially in other countries. Your phone is your ID, it's your debit or credit card, it's your communication device. And so if you don't have a phone, you have nothing. I think it's really great. I think it was Papua New Guinea that had the Oky Talk, right?
Yeah.
SMS is available in Kenya, in Tanzania. Tanzania also has the web, the desktop version. So just meeting the young people, meeting the girls and the young women where they are is so important. And I think that's just one of the things that are making it so great. And you've also mentioned that it's not just a period tracker, but even we've expanded it sort of, right? In Kenya, we did the digital skills in 2024, right? We did, upskilling because this is technology we're talking about. Kenya sometimes is referred to as the Silicon Savannah, but the reality of the situation is that there's also a big gap when it comes to technology. There's high penetration, but at the same time, there's also low literacy in some settings. And it was so interesting when we had the hackathons. I remember we were so overwhelmed. We were like, hey, people are so interested in this thing and we're only aiming for a smaller number. So I think just showcasing the adaptability of Oky, that we can be able to bring, different aspects into it, that it's not a period tracker. We can help young girls get more interested in STEM, as they say. We did the hackathons. We did the UI UX training, which is user experience and user interface. And I think the app is just something that can continuously change and modify and all of that. Could you probably talk about what we're doing now in terms of integrating more topics into Oky in Kenya with the FGM pilot that we're doing now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think with Oky, there's the opportunity to have so much content on lots of different topics. So, in certain parts of Kenya, FGM is prevalent, and we wanted to see, how can we reach these communities with information that's valuable to them, so they can understand the practice, know how to protect themselves, and be in a place where they can make informed decisions. So, in Kenya, in Migori County, we have launched some content around FGM. We have a whole cohort of champions who are working within the communities, connecting girls to referral mechanisms, just to make sure that girls are kept safe from this practice.
Yeah. And it has a ripple effect on this, and we're doing really exciting work, and not even just replacing what is happening, because there's a lot of work happening on the ground, but we're coming in as a tool to support whatever is happening. They're a digital tool for the young girls and the community really at large to be able to just get more information, try to dispel some of the myths and misconceptions that we have, and just fight for a better future, especially for our young girls in Migori. And we look forward to potential scaling up for this. And it's so exciting for what we're doing there. But I think one of the things we may be looking at is in terms of investments. A lot of this needs investment, be it personnel, be it time. But most of the time when people think of investment, they think of
money.
Ching ching, let the cash register ring. So what can you say about the state of investing in menstrual health, education, and related factors?
That's a big question. And I think it goes down to information. One of the biggest drivers that prevents girls from going to school is menstruation. We hear it in Tanzania and so many other countries. And this comes also from girls not having the right information about their bodies, how it functions, their periods, etc. So if I could do any investment in this space, it would be information, knowledge. And to make sure that whether you're working in a school, a health facility, in an office, if there are women and girls in those places and they don't have access to accurate, valuable, interactive, fun, engaging period content, why?
Yes, exactly.
Why?
Yeah.
Make it available to them through Oky, of course, but there's so many other channels. So I think that would be the start. That would be the call to action that I have.
Yeah.
Make sure that the girls in your communities, in your surroundings, have accurate information that speaks to them in their voice around menstruation and sexual reproductive health.
Yeah, and it's so ironical that you're talking about information. I think we're at an age where we feel like it's so easy to get information, right? You have a phone. Our phone is in every corner. It can smack you in the face if you're not careful. But I think the flip side is that there could be a lot of information, but how can people discern correct information, non-judgmental information? I think that's the other thing. Because right now, the word that we hear all the time is misinformation. Sometimes I even just say, some of these are just straight up lies.
Yeah.
I think it's important to just have solutions like Oky that try to get ahead of the game. And I think it's very important as a call to action to invest more in terms of health information, including menstrual health information. I mean, why should it be taken as a separate thing? Women's health has something that needs to be considered when we're doing all of these things. So I think that's a very important call to action as we're talking about women's health, women and girls' health in the larger healthcare conversation. So I would really like to thank you for coming here. We do expect you for episode 2. So no pressure. We shall give you a timeline for you to come in, and we can wrap this up nicely, because I think it's something that can't be covered in a few minutes or even in just one episode. Because it's something that needs to be done and talked about and just put out there for a lot of time. But even just as closing, what one thing would you want to tell that young girl in Tanzania, that young girl in Kenya, who, is feeling like, oh my goodness, this thing has come and they don't understand? What words of encouragement would you give that young girl?
I mean, don't be scared. I think that's probably the first one. Speak about it to somebody who you're comfortable with, and then look for tools that can support you and help you answer your questions. I think Oky is a fantastic one. I'm not being biased.
You're not being, nope, neither am I.
But you're part of a community now of amazing women globally who do this every single month. It's not always the most exciting thing.
When you open like Instagram, for example, and you're talking about like, oh, I wasn't being emotional, it was just my period. And then you see the comments and men are like, but it happens every month. And I'm like, yeah, but I wasn't expecting.
But when and you have a place where you can also kind of share how you're feeling from day to day, you start to recognize the patterns and better understand your body. So when you wake up and you're crying because somebody spilt a bit of water on you, and then you look in your app and realize, okay. That's
that makes
why.
Sense. It's so strange. I try to explain to like my male friends, and they look at me like, okay. But I think it's really great that we are talking about it more. It's no longer something that's whispered. I remember even when we were being told, nobody should be knowing you're on your periods, when we were being told in school. And I mean, I can't really blame them, because that's how they grew up. But I think it's really nice that right now we're talking about it more, so that we can, get more information and accurate information out there. So for this World Menstrual Health Day, we are talking about Oky. We are encouraging you to download Oky. Yay! It is available on the iOS App Store and on the Google Play Store. That is Oky Kenya, for those who are in Kenya, and in the countries that will be listed
below
here. We will do some magic when we are editing this. That is available in those countries, where you can be able to get more information, learn more about Oky. We will also give a website where you can learn more about Oky, have more information on Oky, and probably if you're interested in having Oky come to your country, I don't know, maybe it can come. So periods are normal. Periods are here to stay, whether we unfortunately or fortunately. And how can we come together for a more period-friendly world? So I'd like to thank you for listening to this episode today. And we look forward to seeing you in future episodes. Thank you, Jane.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Bye.